Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you how to create a shopping cart in React.js and Redux. So this is my simple application. I have the products displayed in a grid, and when I click on this button I should be able to navigate to my shopping cart. Right now it's empty because I've not added anything in my shopping cart. So when I click the button and add something to my shopping cart, you can see those items are displayed in the shopping cart. That is the expenditure on this particular product and the expenditure on the other product, and their total amounts to this. So if I increase the expenditure on this to 5,000, you can see even the total is increasing. And when I reduce this past zero, the items will completely be removed from the cart, like that. So if I come back and try to add that same item again and go to the shopping cart, you can see it will not be added because it's already there. The only thing that you can do is to increase its amount or its quantity using these buttons. As I keep on increasing and reducing, you can see even the total of the cart is reflected. So without doing so much talking and explanations, let's move to coding. I have set my application running. Let me take you through the structure of the project. I have set up a basic router inside my app.js. So I have two routes, that is the home page and the cart. The home page is this section here, which is the grid displaying the products that I'm going to add to the shopping cart. Then I have the cart route, which is going to display the information in the shopping cart. So this is the navigation. So if I navigate to the shopping cart right now, this is what I have. So I'm going to change that later. Then I have two folders. The first one inside the public folder, which is images. So inside the images, I have all the images for the project. Then I have the other folder inside the SRC, that is components. So the components folder contains three files. The first file is data.js, which contains an array of objects, and these objects are a representation of the information of these cards you're seeing in the grid. In other words, each object is a representation of each product. Then I have products.js, which is the file that is responsible for this, housing the component that displays the home page and also this grid. Then I have cart.js. This is the file that houses the component that will display the information of the shopping cart. Then I have also installed React Redux and Redux. So I have React Redux version 7.25 and Redux version 4.11. I think that is everything for now. So I'll proceed and start creating the store, which is going to provide the global state that is going to manage the operations of the shopping cart. So I'm going to move to the uppermost component, which is index.js, and I'm going to import two things from Redux and React Redux. So the first item I'm going to import is going to be create store. I'm going to import this from Redux. Then I'll also need a provider component. And I will import this from React Redux. Then I'll create my store here. So I'm going to create a constant called store, and I will bring in the create store component, which is going to take in a reducer that I'm going to create later. Then I'll wrap my whole application with the provider. So my provider is going to take in the store prop, which is going to be the store object. Not object, but just the store. Like that. So I'll proceed and create my reducer functionality. So I'll move to my components folder and create another file and name it reducer.js. So I'm going to create my reducer function. Which is going to be an arrow function. So it's going to have two parameters. The first one is going to be the state. So I'm going to call my state cat. And the other thing is the action. So initially I'm going to set my state to an empty array. And then this function is going to return the state, which I have named cat. So this should be reducer. That. Yeah, so that is my reducer function. So I'll export it as a default export. Then I'm going to index and import it. Then I'm going to my products.js and try to access the state. So to be able to access the state, I need a hook known as the use selector. So I'm going to import that. I also need a hook known as use dispatch, which will help me to send the information to the state later, or to manipulate the state. Then to be able to access my state, which is I'm going to call cat. So const cat is going to be use selector hook. The use selector hook is going to take in a callback function. So this callback function is going to take a parameter. I'll name it state, and it will return the state. Like that. Then I'll also create a constant for the use dispatch. I'll call it dispatch. which is going to be used dispatch later. It will have a function. So let me save that. Then I'll test out if I'm able to access my state. So I'll do that by console logging the cat. So let me save that. Then go to my application. I'm going to refresh it. Like that. Then inspect. So when I visit the console, you realize that my console log returns my state, which is an empty array for now. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to start working on pushing the information into the cat or into my global state. So I'll be pushing objects into my cat array. And if you look at my homepage, I have these buttons to push the information of a particular object to the cat. So I'll create a click event here. I'm going to create a function, and this function is going to dispatch the information. So this is where the use dispatch comes in. So it's going to dispatch an object with two properties. The first one is the action type. For this case, because I want to add an item into the shopping cart, I'll name it add. And when you look at this, I have imported data from data, which is an array, and I have iterated over the array using the map method. And this map method will iterate over all the objects, and each object is represented by this item prop or item variable. So the payload is going to be the object. So payload is the information that you send to the reducer to work on. So I'm sending an object which is represented by item, like that. Then I'll come to my reducer and act on the action that is received. So I'll say that if the action dot type is the same as add, first I want my reducer to check if that particular object is available in the array. So to be able to check that, I will create a temporary cat that I'm going to iterate over. So I'll name it temporary cat. Let it be equal to cat.filter. Filter item. So I want to check if item.id is the same as action.payload.id. So if there is an item, if this item at any point will have the same ID, which is the same as action.payload, that is the information that I'm sending in, then it means that that object is already available in the cat, because all the IDs of the objects in the data.js have the unique IDs. So if this temporary cat is greater than 1, that is more than 1, it means that it's available. So if it's less than 1, it means that it's not available. So if it's not available, I want to send this object into the shopping cart. So I'll be manipulating the shopping cart. So I'll return the manipulated shopping cart, which is an array. So it's going to be a spread operator. Spread operator means that I'm going to copy what was initially in the array first so that I don't override it, which is cart. And then later I'm going to add in what I brought in, which is action dot payload, this one here. Then I'll also return a state if this temp cart is greater than 1. So I can introduce the else statement here. Else return the state which is represented by cart, like that. So let me save that. So I'm going to refresh my application, like that. Right now I have an empty array. So if I push the button, you can see my array has something. And if you expand that, you'll notice that I have an object with the ID of 1, fashion 3-piece men's long sleeve, which is this item here, and its price. So if I try to push the same item, the reducer is able to check and find out that the item is available, and therefore it will not add it again. But if I push a different item, you can see there is an increase in the number of the item and the length of array is moving to 2. So that is good. So the next thing that I'm going to work on is to first be able to access the information of the cart in my cart.js, because I'll be iterating over the same array. I'm basically going to copy the code that is inside the products.js, which is using the map method to iterate over the array. I just want to save on time. I don't want to type that from the scratch. So I'm going to my cart and pasting that. Then first I should be able to access my global state. So I'm also going to copy the whole of this functionality and paste it there. I'll change a few things. Then I'll also need to use my hooks later in my cart.js. So I'm going to copy that and paste it there. Remember, to be able to access the shopping cart, I'm using this variable here, which utilizes the useSelector hook. So instead of using data here, I'm going to use cart, like that. Let me save that. I will not need this button. Let me save that. So if I navigate to the shopping cart, you see, I'm able to access those items. Now my styling, I've decided, I did my styling in my app.css. So that is where I've done all my styling. And I have pre-styled some divs which I'm yet to create in my shopping cart, just to save on time. So what I'm going to do is, when you look at my cart.js, I have a parent div which is a cart container. Then I have a cart which is the container of the grid. And then when you look at my styling after the cart, I have the cart card. So I'm going to copy this class and rename this product to cart card. When you look at my introduction video, you realize that I have the object price and the amount in one section, then I have the increase buttons on the other section. So to be able to do that, I need to wrap that information in separate divs. So I'm going to copy the whole of this and put in a div. and I'll create another div here. And inside the div, I'm going to create two buttons and a paragraph. So I'm going to have a button to increase my items in a particular item in the shopping cart. Then I'll have a paragraph which is going to display the quantity of the product. So quantity, I don't have that property in my object. So if you look at my data.js, the object has ID, image, name, and price, but no quantity. So to be able to introduce that, I'm going to introduce it whenever I add the object into the cart array. And this is where I'm going to introduce it in the map method. So I'll say that item dot quantity is going to be the same as 1, and that. Then the price is going to be, amount is going to be item dot quantity, like that. Then I'm going to rename this to price, and I'm going to rename this to amount. Which is going to be in Kenya shillings. Not really amount, this is just the quantity, sorry for that mistake. So I'm going to introduce another paragraph here and call it amount. Which is going to be item dot price multiplied by quantity, so item dot quantity. And that. So I'll also need to have the reduction button. So I'll create another button here, and this is going to have a minus, like that. Then I'm going to refresh my app. Let me go back first, then refresh it. Then when I add an item into the shopping cart and navigate to the shopping cart, that is how I expect my cart to look like. So that when this increases to 1, you should be able to see the change in the amount. I'm also going to have my currency in Kenya shillings. I'm from Kenya, like that. Yeah. So the next thing that I'm going to work on is to remove the item entire from the shopping cart. Remove the whole item from the shopping cart. So how do I do that? I need to create a button inside my shopping cart card. And I'm simply going to call it remove, like that. So whenever I click on this button, the item will be removed from the shopping cart. Then I'll create the functionality. So I'm going to create a click event here. So this is going to dispatch an action, which is an, I'll call this action remove actually. It's not supposed to be action, but type. I'm calling it remove. Then the payload is going to be item, because I'm sending an object. And that. Then I'll go to my reducer and start working on that information. So I'll say that if action dot type is the same as remove. Remember, this is a string. Then I'll want to remove that particular item that I sent into the shopping cart. So I'm going to return a cart which is filtered. So cart.filter, filter out all the items. So this item stroke id or dot id should not be the same as action.payload. .id, and that. Then I'm going to refresh my application, then go back. I'm going to add all the items that I have here so that you'll be able to see the functionality. So when I click here, the item is removed, it's removed, it's removed, and I'm able to remove all the items from the shopping cart. Right away, I'll start working on increasing the quantity of the item, given item in the cart array. So that is where the buttons will start working. So these buttons that I created here, increase and decrease. So on click, I want to dispatch an action and a payload. So I'm dispatching an object. So the type of the action, for this case I'm going to call it increase. It should be a string, and that. And the payload is going to be the item. Then I'll go to my reducer and work on that. Say that if action dot type is the same as increase, to be able to access the particular object within the array which has the same ID as the payload that I'm sending in, I need to iterate over the cart array using the map method. So I'll say that let temporary cart be the same as cart.map item. Just going to return, it's going to return an item. And this part is going to return the temporary cart. It should be temporary cart. I made that spelling error there. And that. So what I'm going to do, let me clear this. This is not supposed to be there. I'll say that if item.id is the same as action.payload.id, I will return that item like that. Not really, but I will manipulate the item. So how do I manipulate the item? To manipulate the item, I'm going to copy the whole item the way it is. Then later I will manipulate the quantity section. So remember, the item is an object, so I'll copy what I already had, which is the spread operator of the item, like that. And then I'll take item.quantity, quantity, like that. Item.quantity, not really item.quantity, but the quantity property, sorry for that. The quantity property is what I'm going to manipulate. And what I'm going to do is to equate this to item.quantity plus 1. That, return that, and outside there I'm going to return the item like that. So let me go back to my project and refresh my project. There should be a property, of course. It's not an equal sign. So let me refresh my app, then add something into the shopping cart. Then navigate to the shopping cart. I have that. So watch this quantity. You can see it is increasing. And when the quantity is increasing, even the amount is changing. So I'll work on a reduction, which is, its functionality is just the same as this. So I'll copy that and paste here. Then I'll change this to decrease. Like that. And I'll change this to minus. Let me save that. Then I'll come to my shopping cart and copy the whole of this. And paste here. Let me save that. Then change this to decrease. And save it. Then go to my application, refresh. I was supposed to copy it here. Let me save it. Then refresh. go back, add something into the shopping cart. Yeah, I'm able to increase and I'm able to decrease, but you can see my items are going to negative, so I need to fix that. So to fix that, I need to check whenever the quantity becomes less than 1, becomes 1. When I remove it, it should change to 0, and when it changes to 0, it should be removed. The remove action should be called. So how do I do that? So I'll come here into my dispatching action, function, and copy out this, cut out this. Then I'll say that, sorry, I need to cut out everything in that. So I'll say that if item dot quantity if item dot quantity is greater than 1, I'll proceed and decrease. But if it's equal to 1 or less than 1, I will remove it from the array. So I'm going to copy the decrease that I had removed, that one here. So let me save it, refresh my application, and go back, add items. Like that, if I visit my shopping cart, I have all these items. Let me start with the increase. I'm able to increase that, decrease, watch the number. So when it is 1, it is not going to 0 when I decrease, but it will be removed. And that doesn't seem to be working. This should trigger the remove. So let me save that, go back, refresh, then add items into the cart. So when I visit the shopping cart, this is what I have. When I decrease past 0, it will be removed. So this is 1. When I decrease, it will be removed. This is also 1. When I decrease, everything will be removed. So I think adding and removing items from the shopping cart is working out very well. So the only thing that is remaining that I want to add into this is the total amount of the cart, the total expenditure of the cart. And to be able to create that functionality, I'm going to iterate over the cart array, of course using the reduce method. So what I'm going to do is that to get the total, how do I write total? Total is going to be the same as the cart array dot reduce, which is going to take the callback function. I'll call it addition, and the initial value, which is going to be 0, and that. Then I'll create my addition function. So I'll say that const addition. Const addition is going to be my callback function, which is going to take in 2 parameters. The first one is going to be accumulator. Let me just call it accrued total, or let me just call it accumulator like that. Then it's is also going to take the current value. Then it will return every other time. It's going to return accumulator plus the total value. So in my case, the current value, every other time I iterate over the array, I want to add the amount spent on a particular item. So to get the amount spent on a particular item is going to be current value dot price. So that is how I get the amount multiplied by current value multiplied by current value. Let me first put some space here. Current value dot quantity, like that. So to be able to get the cart total, I'll come to the lowest part possible, which is here, and call it total. I need the paragraph or an H something. Let me use an H2. And inside here, I'm going to have my total. And this is total. Like that. Let me save that. Then I'm going to expected assignment the function called so an expression. Card.js line 11 and 5. Is line 5. So this should be returned. Sorry for the error. Like that. So the total is 0 because I don't have anything in my card. So when I add something there, you can see that I have 2950 because this is 450 the amount plus 2500 because you'll get 2950. So if you increase this, it's going to be 900. So 900 plus 2550 is going to be 3400. So you can see it's working quite well. And then the other thing that I want to do is to do some conditional rendering here, so that if the total is if total is greater than 0, how do I do that? I'll just say total and that. That is conditional rendering. So if I remove everything, it will not display anything. Yeah. That is what I have. If I remove it, it disappears. Good. So maybe the other thing I need to add here should be just like that. what I can do, let me clear all this, and I'll say that if total is greater than 0, then I'm going to display an h3 tag. Let me display an h2. Alright. That is what I wanted. So right now my cart is empty. You can see nothing is being displayed, but if I go back and add in something, the total will be displayed. So my mission for this video was to show you how you'll be able to add items into the shopping cart, all that functionality. These other styling things are not part of the mission of this video. I was able to do the minimal styling so that you'll be able to see things clearly. So I think that is it for this video. So if I remove, you can see my total is decreasing, and if I remove everything, even the total text will not be there. So that is it, how you can create a simple shopping cart in React with Redux. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.